Okay, I think we're going to come together. Good morning, folks. Thanks for everybody sitting. Thanks for joining. Thanks for coming back from break from that great keynote panel. So we're starting our panel, Dissecting the Complexities of Syracuse Food Systems, and addressing the complexities around economic and food apartheid. So we have a really great panel that one I'd like to introduce, and then they're going to share a little bit about their work, and then we'll have a chance to ask questions and have a little bit of a discussion, if that sounds great for folks. So I just wanted to thank the sponsors and the organizing committee for inviting me to be able to be a moderator for this panel. My name is Kiana Mickey. I'm a consultant on my off hours. I run QJ and Multi-Prize and have done so for a few years. But my day job, which I'm not wearing my city hat today, but my day job, some folks might know me from being the executive director for the New York City Mayor's Office of Urban Agriculture. So so I'm here as myself, so I'm able to hopefully speak as boldly as I can, but not in my city capacity. But I'm here joined today with some great local folks. So one thing I wanted to take just acknowledgement to is, many of us do work in different capacities in our food systems. But it's always important to kind of be grounded in the food systems, the history, the struggles, also the successes of the folks doing the work in the communities that we're holding or being convened in. And so I have an extra honor of being able to be a moderator on a panel with local leaders and folks in the work. So some of us may be familiar with the Syracuse Food System and work that's happening because you're doing it or you're living in it, and you're experiencing it. Some of us are new. And what I'm hoping on this conversation, this panel, is we are able to listen, we're able to learn. Some things might be familiar, some things might be just a thread of commonality of some of the experiences and maybe work that we're all doing. So hopefully we are able to be grounded and also inspired. So without further ado, I'll just do a brief intro across the panel and then ask folks to share their presentation. Or actually, maybe we can do both, because that will be good use of time. So let's start here with Nicole Ende. All right. You're based in New York. You manage over 10 hemp and cannabis farms. You're a professor, and you teach at Medgar Evers College. I'm reading from the bio, so please let me know if there's anything that needs to be updated. But in your presentation, when you're sharing with us about the work that you do around food apartheid, or trying to address it and dismantle it, I'd love to hear a little bit about you, your work, and how do you engage community in the work. Because when we talk about food apartheid, and I think this is for folks on the panel as well, these food apartheid is purposeful, it's structural, it's entrenched, and oftentimes this is work that cannot be done by one person. So I'd love to hear in what you share your journey and the work that you're doing, but also if you can also share what you do in community self-determination to dismantle food apartheid as well.
Good afternoon, morning, everyone. My name is Nicole Jai. I'm originally from Bronx, New York. I spent some time in South Carolina. My parents, we origin from the West Indies, so came through Charleston, South Carolina. My family have always been farmers. I currently hold about 7 licenses for industrial hemp in the state of New York. I'm the first Black woman to get a hemp license, and I came to market with 10 farms. I partnered with the Amish community, and I also steward gardens. So as a garden member, I started gardening back in 2014, and became a part of community gardens, just walk in my community, because I knew that I wanted to grow cannabis, but I did not have the experience I needed. So I started with growing fruit and vegetables, and I was told if you can grow good fruit and vegetables, you can grow good wheat, right? But the other thing that I realized was that there are no healthy options in my community. I live in a food desert in the Bronx, and this was most important to me, to be able to give people in my community that may not have the ability to afford healthy food, healthier options through the community garden. So that's how I started in the community garden, growing fruit and vegetables for locals in the Bronx. If anyone's from the agricultural world and don't know Mama Kay, you know, she is a huge advocate in the city. She has one of the first farmers markets in the Bronx that my community garden actually grew food for to supply. During COVID, I was able to grow a lot of food and provide a lot of food, making less than a 1% profit, just to make sure that the people in my community had access to clean food. I would say that in the city, it's not much different from Syracuse. There are no healthier options, and if they are, you have to take 2 buses and a train just to get to a healthy option. In addition to that, you know, the food is way more costly for organic produce. So my goal in even getting involved with my farms and stuff was to be able to be some sort of aggregator, middleman, to get food from farmers as far as Buffalo to the central area where I can get it down to the city without it going spoiled during the travel time. It's really important distribution to get healthy food into these communities. In the Bronx, like I said, we're one of the food deserts in the Bronx. We face it. We've been facing it for a very long time. We have like a 1.7 times greater than the average states when it comes to this. I know that the USDA also did a study with the American Medical College that it says that 54 million people are in food insecurities and 23.5 million people live in food deserts. That's like alarming, right? We have the right to food. We should have the right to food. We should not have the issues that we're having with all the land and all the access that we have to grow food. But it's really about community. You know, as I look around and I see these people that are here today, they are kind of representing community and what community looks like. In my community, because cannabis and hemp was such a labor-intensive crop, partnering with the Amish, who are avid farmers, and then being able to work with the Mexican community, because this is who I steward the community gardens within the city. So I kind of eliminated not having a community to be able to, you know, work. And they come up, they help me on my farm. It's me, the Mexicans, and the Amish. It's, you know, but we get it done. And then the farming community is so small, everyone kind of knows each other. So networking, you know, being able to provide resources for another farmer, if you can help them, that's what I've been doing. And that, to me, I think will help a lot of it. It's like every little step is a win. You know, we may not have this big, huge win all at once, but I think the little things that we're doing as farmers in New York, I think it's definitely helpful.
Thank you, Nicole. Appreciate it. So next on our panel, we have Michael Watros. Michael Watros has worked at the Food Bank of Central New York for the past 8 years, and he's currently serving as the Director of Community Impact.
Thank you. So thank you for having me here today and inviting the Food Bank. So my name is Michael Watros, and at the Food Bank, I am the Director of Community Impact, and that is relatively a new position. That's a position that the Food Bank expanded over the last 8 or 9 months to lift up more of the community voices in the work that we're trying to do in the communities. One thing that our current executive director realized about a year and a half, well, she's probably known it for quite a while, so I'll give her that credit, was that we needed to look more inward to our communities to see what the food needs were before we made assumptions about what the community's food needs are. And so a big portion of that came to the result of some new positions that were created at the food bank. Myself, Director of Community Impact, as well as we have a community engagement coordinator who just started. I think she's a little upset with me that she couldn't be here today. But she just started, and so this summer we're hoping to kick off some really deep community conversations around food needs, emergency food, and some of the perceptions that are out there about what's available in the emergency food system and how we can create some meaningful change and how we can assist as many people as possible.
Thank you, Michael. So thank you for moving that mic. We'll let you, Avalon, move to the mic in the middle. Oh. Yes. Avalon Gupa Verweebe is from Syracuse, but moved to Louisville, Kentucky, where she attended high school and completed her undergraduate degree in public health. But you've returned in Syracuse since 2020. So you've been here for the last 4 years, taking opportunities to get involved in community-based food systems projects here in the city. And you completed a practicum of the university's Syracuse University Lender Center of Social Justice. So, entering the conversation, I'm curious about your work in connection to food apartheid. So right now we've heard from a farmer, we've heard from someone in the food security end. So curious to your work and how you also engage your community.
Thanks. Okay. So my name is Avalon, and like Kiana said, I grew up in Syracuse, and then I moved away, and I lived a good portion of my life in Louisville, Kentucky, where I got involved in grassroots organizing around food justice. Louisville lives under food apartheid, much as Syracuse does as well, and so when I returned to Syracuse for my master's in food studies in 2020, it felt like a sort of natural sort of shift into organizing work here in Syracuse. And I had the privilege of taking Ani Bello's class in Human Rights to Food, and that's where I really learned about this framework for the first time. And I just wanted to say I was like so excited to hear about this connection with abolitionist frameworks, because I remember from Ani's class, like that was the connection I immediately made with human rights, where I was like, okay, this reminds me of everything I've been learning in these racial justice uprisings in 2020 about the connection between abolition and freedom and like liberation farm, right? Like we're all getting at it, like liberation and freedom. Like that, I think, is the language that I've always associated with the right to food. But right now, I work for the Syracuse Onondaga Food Systems Alliance, which you all have already heard quite a bit about. We also call ourselves SOFSA. At SOFSA, I am our Equity, Inclusion, and Engagement Manager. We have a pretty small team. My director, Maura, is there. Micah is our Communications Associate up there. And at SOFSA, our goal, so we're a food policy council, but first and foremost, really a coalition. So when I look around this room today, I see like all the people and the people who are on this panel with me, like these are the folks who we are really here to support. Like some other folks have said, we are a network, and our goal is really to create on-ramps and spaces for people to come together to work on food systems issues together. When SOFSA was initially founded, it was sort of brought together because of a lot of silos in our community, which I'm sure is familiar for many other folks, right? Like we're doing our work, we have our missions, we have our agendas, and then we're applying for the same grants, or we're not applying for grants together, or we are doing the same work but with different demographics. And so SOFSA's mission has always really been to break down those silos and to bring people together and to create space to uplift people's dreams and visions and the work that they're doing. And find those adequate resources and take away those gates and remove the gatekeepers so that people can access the resources. So I get to work with folks all across the food system every day, which is totally a privilege. And yeah, I'll pass it to a longtime partner, Jesse. Oh, sorry. Yeah.
Oh, no, that's fine. Thank you. Jesse?
Do you want me to introduce myself?
Yes, please.
I am Jessie Lyons. I wear a bunch of hats, but most people know me through Brady Farm. So that's an urban farm here in Syracuse, and part of our sister organization that we started, the Brady Market, which is in the near West Side neighborhood. And then I'm also involved in a few other groups. And along with Mabel and some other people in the room, we helped start Syracuse Grows. So I am not from Syracuse, but now I've been here, as of yesterday, 18 years. So more than like any other place in my adult life, so that's good. So I do call Syracuse home now, and I came here as a graduate student. And that just trajectory and where I've kind of landed now is, yes, still doing farming, but a lot other organizational around broader food systems work was really started with Mabel, interviewing Mabel, and this question is like, how does somebody even start a community garden? And not having any resources in the city of Syracuse there was an arborist at the time. Like, we didn't even have master gardeners at Cooperative Extension. There was literally zero resources, and we were under an administration that didn't want to support community gardens because they were too messy, and people didn't mow the lawn very well. And so this very fundamental access to food that I think we all think is unquestionable was really an issue of mowing the lawns for the city. So this group really came together with trying to figure out how do we combine our own grassroots and other agencies and academic institutions to find the right people to make it happen. So that's how Syracuse Grows was founded. There's maybe 8 of us who got together, and that was in 2014. No, that was 2008, so it's been a bit. And fast forward a little bit, and my graduate work was focused on working with Mabel and other community gardeners on the south side of Syracuse to think about how to design community gardens to better serve their needs. So now I live fully in the world of food access, which I did not ever, my background is ecology, so I did not see myself here, but it is really appropriate because turns out I'm an agroecologist, just didn't know it. But that also applies to human systems, right? So to think about food just in isolation and just like we have a farm and we have a store, if we're really going to be successful in creating food justice and building a more resilient and sovereign food community, we have to be doing this in a very integrated and deep way that is also very grassroots. So that's where I live now, is really in the grassroots realm. And leveraging our little tiny farm. For an urban farm, it's pretty big, but it's still pretty small. So we're just under 6 acres. So we sell food across the community, but not where you typically find it. So we don't go to the regional market. We don't go where the other farmers are showing up because food is there. We are showing up where food is not available and where the community is asking me to fill a gap. And there's different ways that we do that. So a lot of our work is finding food from other farmers. 6 acres, I can only grow so much, and I definitely don't grow the variety that people want. So a lot of what we do is leveraging our farm and our relationship with the grocery store to get food into communities in different novel ways. So we're doing home delivery, we're getting grants to sponsor CSAs, we're setting up the farm stands at the public housing, working with the Food Access Healthy Neighborhoods Now, where a grocery store disappeared 6 years ago now, and we haven't got anything back in our community, so showing up and setting up our farm stands there and purchasing from other farms and reselling because other farms aren't willing to show up in the community. So not willing, that's another complicated thing, and it's not a lack of willingness, it's financially not possible for them to do it successfully. And that is just a hard reality also about how do we make it possible for other farms to do what they really want to do, which is to be present in the community and filling those gaps, and to create infrastructure and support systems and education with residents so that they can successfully sell their product in these spaces. There's a lot I could possibly say, so I'm going to leave it at that and pass it to Ethan.
Thank you, Ethan. Thank you, Jesse. So, Ethan, it would be great to hear you jump into the conversation, given your work as the Assistant Director for Native American Indigenous Student Initiatives at Bimington, but also your full of work that we'd love to hear more about and your connection to dismantling food apartheid.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you for having me, and thank you for inviting me. And feels like we're coming back to the community. It's fun to see everyone's faces. We're such a tight-knit